Sokoloff, and is that better? We're good? Okay. My name is Sokoloff, and I am honored and humbled to address this congregation on such a significant occasion. I'd like to say it's quite special for me because this is where I was bar mitzvahed, and I can recall so many wonderful memories of my time at Hebrew school and in confirmation class here at Temple Emmanuel. The clergy has been a pillar of my religious education my whole life, and being here is truly a spiritual experience for me. After graduating from Harvard Westlake High School here in Los Angeles, I moved to New Haven, Connecticut, where I attended Yale University. I arrived at senior year not knowing really what I wanted to do next, but with only one sure priority in mind, that service to others was what was most important to me. Using that as my guiding force, I decided to do Teach for America and return home to Los Angeles and teach students in our underfunded and poor-performing schools. I'm now in the second year of that program and am teaching Algebra 1 at Jordan High School in Watts, California. I'd like to open with a story about one of my students, a ninth grader named Ednijah Brim. Ednijah is an energetic and gregarious girl. She is quick to smile and even quicker to share the candy with others that she loves so much. Her emotions are so forceful, though, so swift and so sudden, that she sometimes has trouble controlling them. She can yell and be stubborn, and her defiant behavior became her defining characteristic, clouding my initial affection for her raw exuberance. On one day, Ednijah had been especially disruptive, so I kept her in for a lunchtime detention. I sat with her and tried to uncover the origins of these emotional eruptions. I asked her questions like, why are you so easily provoked? How can we overcome these outbursts that are clearly holding you back academically? But all she could muster was a nervous giggle. And so, realizing that this exercise in guided self-reflection would probably not produce worthwhile insights, I switched to a more personal topic of her family. And I started asking her about her family. She told me that for as long as she could remember, she didn't really see much of her parents. She lives alone with her grandmother in Watts. Her dad is in jail, and her mom lives in Bakersfield. But some of the most cherished memories that she has were when she was younger, dressing up dolls with her mother. And from these stitched-together recollections of a now distant childhood, Ednijah had developed a deep passion and a deep love of fashion. I want to make dresses and make famous people look pretty, she would exclaim. And without any further prodding, a torrent of TV shows and clothing companies cascaded out of her mouth. And I saw in her an unguarded joy that was rare among my students. Now, since that day, Ednijah has not turned into the angelic student I had hoped for, but she is improving. She is getting better. She works hard to contain the inappropriate behavior that had once gotten her off task. And she works even harder to ignore the distractions that had once derailed her. The cold truth, though, is that Ednijah's story is not so different from lots of other children across this country. Not so different from children growing up in the clutches of chronic poverty. The details may vary, but the theme, the narrative, is the same. Now, I admit, it can be easy to make judgments about my students from descriptions like these. Or I might say, more appropriately, it can be easy to make judgments about the communities and the conditions that they come from. And I'll be honest with you, Before I began teaching, I had my own set of preconceived and ill-informed opinions. But if I've learned anything in my time as a teacher, it's that understanding rises out of exposure, and compassion begins with a conversation. It is precisely this fascination with the unknown, this driving curiosity with people and places that I had only read about, that compelled me to join Teach for America in the first place. I was discontent hearing others' accounts of the drama unfolding in our nation's public school, and I wanted to see for myself. More than that, though, I wanted to do something. I felt constricted on the sidelines. I craved the great enthusiasms of a good and important struggle. Now, I was nervous, scared even, but that further motivated myself to devote my time and my talents to such a worthy cause. And after more than a year of being a teacher, I can tell you that it is the most formidable challenge I have ever faced in my entire life. But I take comfort in the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He who is not every day overcoming a fear has not found the secret to life. Let me conclude with a brief explanation of how I believe my experiences connect to our faith and our celebration of that faith that brings us together here on this lovely evening. Two of the dominant tenets of Judaism are tzedakah and tikkun olam. Tzedakah is the binding belief that we as Jews ought to treat one another with respect and dignity. And having accepted that premise as a component of our faith, Tikkun Olam asks that we go out and seek to repair the world. Embedded in our religion, therefore, is this sacred idea that before the eyes of God, we are all connected. That it is our duty to take an interest in others and to do something about it, whatever we can. And so, in this new year, abounding with possibility, I encourage all of you to do something outside of your comfort zone, to explore both the foreign and the frightening, and most of all, in whatever small way you can, I encourage all of us to perform an act of Tikkun Olam. Thank you. Shana Tova.